What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast. Today we have a very special guest, and we're excited for this one. He's a 20-year real estate agent veteran. He's coaching agents for free since 2017. So, guys, you need to go join the ZTD movement and his 60-day challenge. We're excited to learn, grow, and get this exciting individual in here today with us. Please help us welcome the one and only Ricky Carruth. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, guys? Good to be here.
No, we're glad to have you, man, and excited to definitely dive into the world of real estate, coaching, and most importantly, how you even began this career.
Yeah, no, it's just really is kind of your cliche story, really, just hard work, right? So I grew up in Alabama on the Gulf Coast, right on the beach, roofing houses with my dad. And he did that for 30 years. And, that's where I really learned everything I needed to learn in terms of like succeeding in business, right? So I watched him build his roofing business. And it's really the same way I built my real estate business, I kind of modeled after him because, he would go out here and take these jobs and he would be flexible on his price and he would really take jobs at a lower price than he should, but he did it in the name of maintaining that relationship to continue producing more jobs, right? And to stay busy doing roofs. And so I kind of approached the real estate business the same way. I'm not scared to flex on, what I charge, right, in the name of maintaining that relationship. Although I'm a very good negotiator and I do get full commission on tons of deals, but I'm also not scared to be flexible either. But the work ethic side of it, and watching him roof houses and out roof everyone on the roof at 45 years old was massive for me. And I was able to take that and really, like, I modeled everything right after that. Like most of the stuff that I've gotten into, traditionally up to this point, I've got in a little late, right? I got on social media late. There's a lot of different things. Investment wise, I didn't start really investing into stocks and stuff until 2016, 17, something like that. I mean, I should have been investing in 2008, 9, 10, really before that. But I didn't know, right? So traditionally I was a little late to a lot of different parties, but now I'm way ahead of the curve on a lot of different things. And so now I've got my finger on the pulse on a bunch of different things. And I feel like I'm 3 steps ahead of a lot of the industry in a lot of different aspects. So I've kind of flipped the tables there, but it goes back to, right, just through the first stages of the entire process where I just wanted to keep my head down and do the work, right? So that I could gain the experience to even know what the hell I'm doing, right? To be able to even have the foundation set where I could go out and teach other people how to do stuff or have money to invest in things or, be in a position to look back and do the research and be ahead of the curve on certain things. So it all comes back to just hard work, man. And I'm still grinding my face off to this day. I got in real estate when I was 20 and it, being young in real estate back then in 2002, like most of the average age of a real estate agent now to this day, I think is still in the 50s. Honestly, I think like the average age of a realtor is, definitely high 40s, early 50s. I can, fact check it. But back then it was even higher, and younger agents just weren't really, we were just kind of coming on the scene, to be honest. It was something that you did when you retired or something you did as your second career after, when you've moved on from something. Very few people actually started out in real estate, especially at 20 years old. And so it was, it was weird because, I mean, there were people there to kind of help me and guide me and everything, but it wasn't like, I just kind of felt like a outcast, really, to be honest with you. And that's how I like it, really. So, winners just make it happen, honestly. You're not going to hold a winner back and same thing for losers. No matter what you do, you can teach a loser everything you do. They're still going to lose because they're going to make that excuse. They're going to blame that person. They're going to, complain. They're going to find something negative they're going to find a negative spin on whatever the situation is. And the winners are going to just find a way to make it happen. That's like these agents that come in part-time and, they are scared to make calls and then they use the job as an excuse. And then, they don't make the calls and they don't do what they're supposed to do and they fail. And 90% of agents fail. And the whole thing is you're just not a winner. Winners, everybody starts out part-time. Okay. Join the club. Everybody, it takes 6 to 8 months to get their first deal, right? Join the club. It's just, you just have to, at some point you have to take responsibility and step up and just make it happen. So I got it when I was 20 and I did so. I stepped up and made it happen. I made a sale by the time, it took me 8 months to get to my first sale. Started selling 2 a month, and then boom, the market exploded. Prices doubled in 2 years, and I made $1 million. Wow. Just fell in my lap pretty much. And, I took that money and I did what I thought you were supposed to do with it, buy real estate, not realizing that that was the worst thing to do, especially the way I did it. If I'd have paid cash for rental properties and just bought and hold, then I would have been fine. But I went out and borrowed money against flips. I was going to borrow money to flip, and I made a bunch of money doing that until it all crumbled. Right. I walked away after the market crashed with $1.5 million in debt. And, I had cash reserves that got depleted from trying to, maintain, and eventually I had to let it all go. So here I am back roofing houses. I make $1 million, and then now I'm sitting here sleeping on friends' couches, slept in my car, and I'm roofing houses again. Eventually I'll land a job in an oil rig. And that's when I really started to try to figure out what I wanted to do, because, I was looking at the market and I realized, because I still had MLS and stuff, I realized closings were happening every day. In that worst dark moment in the history, that 2006, 7, 8, that was the worst. 2007 was the worst year for us transaction wise down here in my market. And, when I took a step back and looked, I realized closings are happening every single day. Right. And by the truckloads, even though it's a lot less than what it was, there's still so many. And what happens with the real estate market specifically, when the market crashes, it's kind of sad that agents actually correlate their business, their personal business, to the market itself. And they think when the market's down, their business is down, and vice versa. It's just not the case. It's not correlated, right? We make a commission on when somebody buys or sells, right? And so people buy and sell no matter what the market's doing. It doesn't matter what the price is. And the price actually adjusts in a down market to a place where people are still willing to buy, which means what? People are still willing to buy. It's the market is going, the market's mother nature. It's going to produce what we need to keep the market going. And they just don't realize this. So I took a step back and started to think about all these things and realize this. And it made me really open my eyes up to the fact that I didn't have to get out of the business if I knew then what I know now. And so when I started writing the books and coaching agents for free, that was the main message that I want to get across, is that please don't correlate your business to the market. Realize that we make commissions either way it goes. When you have a high market like now, there's downward pressure on commissions because the percentage ends up being a big number when the price goes up. But it's the same thing when the market goes down and prices come down. Commission rates come back up because now we're working harder to sell the listings, and it's harder to sell. There's more inventory. There's less buyers. So it's all relative. So anyway, I when I started to realize that, I started reading. So I read 100 books over the course of about 2 years. And I just learned a lot, man. I developed a lot as a person, and I learned a lot about the market and market cycles and how this game really works. And I got back in 2008 when I got laid off from the oil rig. And I was here to conquer at that point because I figured the game out. So from 2008 to 2014, 6 years, I worked my ass off and got to 100 deals a year, single agent in Alabama. So I was the number one RE/MAX agent in Alabama. And so ever since 2014, I've closed 100 deals every year since. So this is last year was year number 8. And I've just continued to hit those numbers. And then in 2017, after 3 years, right, 3 years of 100 deals a year, at that point, I was like, okay, I think I have something. Because when I hit 100 deals, I was like, is this real? Because the last time I made it and lost it, I was like, is this real this time? And then after I hit it 3 years in a row, I was like, okay, I think I have something here unique, and I want to share this with the world. So let me write a book. Let me start speaking. Let me start coaching. And so that's kind of where that came from. But you have these agents that have been in the business for 2 years and sold 19 properties out here selling courses for $500. Look at my timeline. I get in, I make it, I lose it, I come back. I work 6 years to get there. Then I'm there for 3 years before I even think, okay, I have even something to share with other people. So then through that process, the books took off. I started speaking worldwide. And then through that process, I started out charging for coaching, but through the process, I realized free's the way to go, because agents, number one, I didn't want to be in the same category as a lot of the paid coaches coaching the mainstream stuff, because all my stuff is the exact opposite, right? I didn't want to be in the same category as those coaches. Furthermore, it kind of, there's kind of a roadblock there, because agents come in, they like you, they see what you got. And then as soon as there's that paywall, they kind of go the other way for the most part. I mean, I was having 300 agents sign up for a webinar, 100 would show up, and like 1 or 2 would sign up. And I said, wait a minute here. There's 300 agents that want some help. There's 100 who really need some help because they showed up. And then only 1 or 2 took advantage of what I had to offer. This business model doesn't work. It's not helping anyone, right? So that's when I decided to go free. And through being free, it would open up the floodgates, where now I could really knock a dent in the industry in terms of, screaming this message that closings are happening every day. And that if we just value people over the money, see, that's a big thing when you're talking about objections and how to handle objections and, scripts and closing deals and stuff like that. I mean, to me, what people call objections is just literally prospects telling you exactly what they want to do. And the reason why I've sold so much property is because I want to hear what they want to do, and I want to help them do what they want to do. And I think mainstream is teaching agents, to kind of go against that and try to combat the objections and, try to turn the situation around to what the agent wants, which to me turns people off and makes people run the other way. Whereas I can build a massive database. I mean, the number one goal for every agent and every salesperson, right, is to make as many friends as possible and build the largest database of anyone in their industry. I mean, that at the end of the day, that's the entire premise of your overall, that should be the ultimate goal, and through that you close, the most deals. But listen, we could talk, I could keep going. I'm sure you guys have other questions, but I think you guys kind of get the idea.
Oh, I love it. And you brought up a few good topics here. So it is true. Unfortunately, 90% of agents that do enter the market do fail because they do take it, half-ass, and they don't really commit to it. And you brought something else up that was interesting about commission, and you were talking about your father and the rates and how you always get your commission. I see a lot of agents, especially in this market, devaluing themselves all the time. And they feel that in order to get a deal or to get a listing, they have to do 1.5% or 2%. So what is your approach to the, I guess, money objection, commission objection you might get from a potential listing? And then second, because I know a lot of our audience would like to hear this part, what is like your prospecting methodology? Like, what do you do? Are you cold calling? Are you door knocking? Are you doing social media campaigns? Like, what is the approach that an agent should do when it comes to prospecting? And how do you handle the commission portion of it when you're negotiating?
Yeah, no, all really good stuff. This is the meat and potatoes of the whole thing. I mean, I took 4 listings over the past 2 weeks, and they were all at 6%, which is full commission where I'm at. So, listen, I am, I'm like I say, I'm a very good negotiator, and I'm going to negotiate the deal out. And my goal for negotiating the deal is to get the deal done. If I have to shave off, I'm super flexible. At the same time, I'm going to play poker. And if I can squeeze 6%, I'm going to go for it. Right. And so I think that the problem you see is a lot of agents, like you say, are scared. And so they're not good negotiators. So they just kind of give it up too soon. Whereas that seller will actually pay more if you'll just play the game, right? If you'll stand firm right there and then see what they do, right? In the back of your head, you'll come down, right? But let's see what they do first. I think too many agents are just cutting all the meat off the bone immediately. When, and listen, they might have to cut the meat off the bone to get the deal done, but we don't know that. Let's not just start out there, and then let's not go straight from meat on the bone to no meat on the bone. Let's shave off a little at a time and see kind of what we can negotiate. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, listen, they need to be better negotiators. And that's really what we need to be teaching agents, is to be better negotiators on this. But at the end of the day, being a better negotiator and saying, oh, well, I'm a full service agent and I'm worth 6% and I'll take nothing less. that's a horrible strategy, because you're going to lose so many deals to Ricky. Because I'll go in there and I'll take 5.5 and be happy as can be. I'll take 5.5 and be happy as I can be. And not only that, but you just lost that relationship over 0.5%. See, that client is going to come back to me and they're going to do repeat business. They're going to give me referrals, and I'm going to get referrals of the referrals. And through that process, I'm going to get 10 to 20 deals over the life of my career through that relationship. And you just threw away those 20 deals, over 0.5% on one deal, right? Where in the future, sure, some of the deals I may have to cut some more, but I'm going to get full commission on some, whatever, right? But I'm going to have the volume. And that's what we need to think about moving forward in the industry with the Redfins and the Zillows and the, all these different brokerages, right? It's really going to come down to volume at the end of the day. If we go to a place where 4 is the new norm, which honestly, I don't even think we're going to go there. Honestly, like for a while, I kind of thought that we may go there, but now I'm kind of leaning towards, I don't even think we'll actually go there. To be honest, I think it'll stay kind of where it is, 5 or 6, and then, maybe 4 and 5 for, these really highly competitive markets like New York and Phoenix and stuff like that. But honestly, even if it went to 4 and 4, if it went to 4 and it was 2 and 2, that's still extremely lucrative. 2% is a lot. I don't even think we're going to go there, to be honest, but we need to be better negotiators at the end of the day and not just give it up so quickly. If we're up against an agent who's going to do it for 4.5 and we're kind of firm at 5, let's feel the situation out. And at the end of the day, the seller is going to pick at the end of the day, they're going to pick the agent they feel the most comfortable with. So understand that our number one goal as an agent is to make them feel comfortable with us, right? If we can't get past that, then we're going to be nowhere. There's no chance. There's not even going to be a negotiation of the commission or, an offer submitted or showings. None of that's going to happen if we can't make them feel comfortable with us. So before we even talk to them about negotiations, we need to teach them how to be incredible communicators in terms of communicating who they are as a person, that they care about the person on the other side. How do we communicate that to our prospects and our clients? That's the skill level that we need to work on first. Once we get there, then we're going to be in more situations where we're going to need to negotiate. So now let's work on negotiations. And that's what Zero to Diamond is all about. Like I built my entire business, circle prospecting, which is just calling random sellers and direct mail and doing a weekly email. That's my entire business. That's all I did for 20 years. I didn't do social media, and I didn't do, a lot of this stuff. I didn't do for sale by owners and expireds and Zillow. I didn't do any of that stuff. I just had another call with a brokerage, and I gave them the exact game plan of how they can build their business with Zillow over the next 5 years and completely crush the competition. The problem with that is it's too expensive, right? It can be done. They're giving you leads. You cultivate the leads. You do it right. Boom, you can create it, but just too expensive. Some agents want to go there because they're too lazy or they're just too scared to make the calls. And so they kind of want that automated and they're willing to pay for it. But at the end of the day, what I'm about is not only teaching agents that, hey, listen, it doesn't matter what the market does. Okay. We're going to thrive in any market. All right. That's first and foremost. Secondly, listen, I did a circle prospecting and direct mail and weekly email, but I don't care how you do it. But at the end of the day, I want you to learn how to communicate with your prospects, who you are. I want you to be able to articulate who you are as a person who cares about the prospect to them, right? Mainstream coaching, training, it's all about, calling them up and seeing if they want to buy today, if they want to sell today, right? Basically, if they're not, then move on to somebody else. Wrong strategy, right? If they give you an objection, let's handle that objection. Let's turn that objection around and let's make it work in our benefit to close deals. Wrong strategy. So those mainstream coaches will also tell you, stand firm on your 6%, right? Also, to me, wrong strategy, especially in this market when you have so much cutting going on. You have to be competitive. You have to be flexible, or you're going to give up so much volume. If I'm getting 2%, if it goes to a 4 and we're getting 2 and 2, right? Let's just say that happens, something massive happens, right? I call that doomsday. And even like 3%, that's doomsday scenarios. I don't believe that's going to happen. But even if it did, right? What are we going to be looking at that point? Well, we need to have some systems in place where we can do some serious volume serious volume. You need volume. You need millions and millions of dollars worth of properties closed every year, right? That's what's going to, it's not like, oh, well, you know, I made an extra 500 on this deal, an extra 2,000 on that deal. That doesn't matter if you're doing 30 deals. Let's get out there and close $500 million this year, right? And then you take 1% of $500 million. Where are you? You know, so that's kind of where I am on it. I'm totally flexible, yet, you know, striving to fill the situation out to get the highest commission as well. And in terms of prospecting, you know, you give me a scenario of every single prospecting effort and activity works. It's a matter of what works well for you and a matter of what you feel like is the most efficient in terms of production and cost. That's all it comes down to. And I can't tell any specific agent, oh, this is what works and this is the best, you know, or this is what worked for me. What works for me doesn't work for them. So what I have to do is I have to sit down and look at every single lead generation activity there is known to mankind and say, okay, here's all the different outlets that you have. Which of these two work the best for you to create 5 new friends a day? Because if I'm not in my market making 5 new friends a day and adding those to my database, followed up with a weekly email or something similar, I have no business. I'm not building anything that's going to turn into an empire over the next 5 years where I have residual business coming in, where I can then go do other things I want to do, spend more time with the family, go build other businesses, write books, travel, the things that people want to do with their life. That's why you see these people that aren't personal branders that are out there just selling, where the mainstream coaches, hey, you know, if they don't want to sell, move on. And they're just kind of throwing leads away that are going to do something later. They're just throwing them away and just looking for people who are motivated today. Those people are going to have to work their ass off for the rest of their life until they die, because they're not building a brand. They're not building anything of substantial, you know, residualness. There's nothing on the back end, you know, so that's the difference in sales and branding. You know, I want agents to be branders, brand themselves. And look, I didn't even use social media, right? I use social media now for my coaching, and, you know, I throw my weekly email on my real estate business page, and, you know, I'm going to start doing some more social media for real estate, I guess, whatever. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If I were new in this market, I would take the automatic dialer systems to make my 100 calls a day, because it took me 8 hours to do it by hand. So people can literally do what took me 8 hours in a matter of an hour and a half, and then spend the rest of the day on emails and social media and responding and commenting and creating content. I mean, I would crush social media in today's world, but I would do both, man. Cause like the phone calls brings it back to old school, and the social media brings it to new school. So you got the really old guys who, you know, say phone, and then you got the new people who say social. But what I'm saying is I'm the most dangerous guy on earth because I do both, right? I'm right in the middle, man. I'm 40. So I'm right at the end of the millennials, right? I'm like the oldest millennial out there. And so I'm young enough to know how to use tech, but I'm old enough to have had to build my business the old school way. And so I'm right there in the middle where I understand both sides and I utilize both sides to my advantage. And that's why I've been able to build a brand I have online.
So that we got to call you Ricky the Terrorizer. That's it. And I love it, man. And you mentioned so many great points because it is so true. Where you see a lot of the old school individuals, they're not willing, and they're so forcefully not willing to adapt to some of the new components. And they're like, I'm not using any of that. And then some of the new school, they're only sold on the new stuff. And they're like, oh, all this old stuff, it's useless. I don't want to put in that extra work. I rather just make it easier and let it be done for me using this stuff. Then we got a guy like Ricky who comes in, well, I'm gonna open the floodgates and rip up both and make this happen no matter with old and new school. And you give yourself advantages.
Well, you know what? There's 2 points to be made. One is when you get a Zillow lead or a Facebook lead, what's the first thing you have to do? You
have to vet them.
But what action do you take?
When the Zillow, when they call?
Yeah, when you get a Zillow lead, what do you do? What's the very first thing?
Well, with Zillow, if they're asking about inquiring about a property, just talking to them, find out their criteria.
No, but I mean, how are you talking to them?
Introducing yourself.
No, I'm saying, here's the deal though. Here's what I'm getting at, right? No matter if you get your leads online, if you get them on Facebook, on Zillow, the very first action is to call them. So now we're right back on the phone.
Yeah, get their information.
We're right back on the phone. Now Zillow will call you with the leads, right? Same thing. We're on the phone with the prospect having a conversation. So what you guys got to understand is that the common denominator of all closings is a real life conversation, right? There's not a closing without a live conversation, no matter where the lead comes from. So if I understand that, and that's the common denominator, I'm like, why am I going to do all this other stuff, right? Spend all this money, time, and energy just to come right back to the same activity when I can just get all the contact information and just start calling people? Because I'm a get her done kind of guy. I'm just gonna, if conversation is the only thing between me and listen, the only thing between anyone, right, any agent and $1 million a year, okay, the only thing are thousands of one-on-one conversations with people in their market. So if you want to take the slow route, if you want to stretch that out over 20 years, fine. If you want to get it done within 2 or 3 years, great. It doesn't matter to me. The speed of your success doesn't affect mine at all. I've decided how quick I want to get there. And so just give me a phone and give me every phone number of everyone in my market so I can go ahead and knock these thousands of conversations out so I can get where I want to go so I can go on to something else. Right. And a lot of people are just whatever. But the thing is when you get them online and people are using social media, they better be understanding then utilizing it as a funnel to get to a conversation. It's like the end of the funnel of this for real estate agents, right? Now listen, e-commerce, you don't have to talk to anybody. You're running ads and you let them go to your shop. And right? There's a lot of businesses you don't have to talk to anyone. Real estate is not one of them. I'm not talking to the e-commerce guys or the people who, do those type of businesses. I'm talking to real estate agents right now. Right? If you're not talking to someone, and this is why real estate agents will never be extinct, right? Because of this key fact right here. If a robot could sell your house for you, then we would already be extinct. Okay. Not going to happen. All the technology that's coming down the road has done nothing but enhance our lives in terms of real estate agents. Like Zillow came along and, everybody thought, and people still think, I think they think less and less every day, but they think, there was definitely a time where there was peak fear that Zillow was going to take over the market. And the whole time I was saying, how? Show me the A to B, where we are now, and then B being them taking over the market. How does that happen? I don't even see how that could happen. Zillow did nothing but help us because now my buyers, they send me a list of everything they want to go see. And then I just set it up with the agent and we go see it. I used to have to hear all the criteria, search it myself, send them a list of stuff, then them send me what they want to see out of the list. I used to have to do all that research and development on the back end for every buyer. Now they just call me and say, hey, can we look at property? Sure, we can look at it here. Which ones you want to see? They send me a list of all the ones that are on the market that they want to see. Why? Because they found it on Zillow. Zillow made my life so much easier, right? They're advertising my listings and other listings to the public, to my buyers that call me. Why? Because I got a relationship in place with those buyers. And this comes back to cold calling, right? I called and developed my clients who love me. If you're a new agent, you're just banking on Zillow leads for, $100 a pop, and you don't have anybody in your back pocket who loves you that you develop a relationship with, that you're vulnerable. Because when the market crashes, your business will be correlated to the market's ups and downs, because unless you take those Zillow leads, and here's the strategy, take those Zillow leads and create those relationships where they don't want to go anywhere else, right? From that. Now that's expensive, but it can be done.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And going back to Zillow, so the cost per acquisition for these clients is high. For you to be successful, you have to drop $10,000. On top of that is like easily $10,000. And that's if you're taking that full cost and you don't have a partnership with another lender or somebody else. And then on top of that, a lot of these are buyer leads. And you know how committed buyer leads are depending on how competitive the market is, especially here in Miami. It really depends. You really have to, because the business at the end of the day is about listings. That's where you're going to make your money in listings. Yes, you'll work with buyers, but Zillow leads it's a lot of money to be putting into those things. So I agree with you.
No, it is. Listen, it's just too expensive, right? But let's take the cost out of it. Let's just talk about Zillow leads for a second. So you get Zillow leads. They say one out of every 400 convert. So you got 1 out of every 400. Let's just say 60, 70% put in wrong information, right? It's not even their correct email and phone number. So let's say out of the 400, you got 30%, let's say, are correct data. So you got 120 there, and one of them closed. So, listen, at the end of the day, you cultivate those 120 over the next couple of years, weekly email status, let's say, 10% of them, these are all low numbers, I would say, conservative, 10% do business with you forever. 12 people, that's 10 to 20 deals per person. We're looking at 120 to where we're looking at 60. How many deals is that? It's a lot of deals, right? We're looking at like, what's that going to be? That's 500 deals. That's 250 to 500 deals, let's say, right? That you added to your career right there through doing that right. Now, what's interesting is the listing versus buyer thing. When you build your business on buyer leads, when you're closing these buyers and you put all this work into the front end of your career with these buyers, now they turn into sellers because now they own the property. See, they bought and now they own, and they loved how you handled the deal through the process. Now they're going to list and then upgrade with, they're going to list it with you later and upgrade. See, that's what's interesting. And people don't think too far into the future. This is like when I got back in the business in 2008,
Long-term
foreclosures
success.
were everywhere. What's that?
It's a long-term success.
Well, yeah, you have to visualize what's going to happen over the long term. In 2008, when I got back in, there was like 40 foreclosures at all times, right, on condos. And there was like 3 agents that were gobbling up all those listings with the banks. And it was like, man, I'm jealous of this. How can I do this? So I went down that road and realized I don't want to deal with the banks. This is way more. They want you to jump through so many hoops. And those agents would never answer their phone because they knew they didn't have to, because the bank was giving them listings and then it would just sell. And so I was like, okay, I got you figured out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to represent all the buyers on these foreclosures since they're so cheap, all right, 50% off from the peak. Let me represent the buyers on these things over the next couple of years. Let the foreclosures go away and the market return. As prices go up, these buyers are going to resell with me and upgrade to something else and refer other people to me. And I said, I'm going to grind it out for a couple of years. But then I saw that within the next 3 to 5 years, I would be the number one agent in the area because of that. Right. And so that's the approach I took. And then that's what happened by 2014. It took me 6 years. Like 2012, 13, 12, 13, 11, all those are good years. But by 14, I was selling 100 properties a year. And it came from the momentum I built during that time of representing all those buyers. Right. So you can, like I'm saying, if you can skin it so many different ways, it's just a matter of how much money do you have to invest? Like, can you actually see it? I mean, with RedX, it's like you get you can pick any property owner you want for 2 cents, right? So you got 2 cents per contact, right? So per dial. Okay. Then you got a 10% pickup rate. So now we're at 20 cents per conversation. 1 out of 2 is going to be a great conversation based on the stats I see on myself and the thousands of agents that I coach. So you got 40 cents there, 40 cents in a great conversation. Let's just call it $1. Let's say it takes you 4.5 contacts to have one good one, right? You're talking about $1 for a great conversation with the property owner that owns the exact property you picked out that you want to do business with. You just had a great conversation with them for $1. And that's high, because I think it's really more like 40, 50 cents per great conversation. But you're going to compare that to a random buyer lead that Zillow sends you for $100 when you could get an exact property owner you want to do business with, whatever neighborhood, whatever price point, for $1. Great conversation. See, it just doesn't make sense. You have to look at all this and decide, okay, because you're not going to get around the work. If you do the Zillow route or any other route or Facebook, you're still going to have to call the same amount of people. You're going to have the same amount of conversations. So it's either go ahead and just rip the Band-Aid off and get it done, or play around on all the platforms. I mean, use the platforms to build your brand, but don't use it as your primary source of how you're going to develop the conversations, in my opinion, right? When you have this other vehicle here that's much more efficient and cost effective.
Ricky, let me ask you a question. So you're pushing 100 homes. That's a lot of volume that you're doing as a single agent, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your systems and processes for that? And did you have anybody on your team or with you that was handling like the buyers? That's a lot of volume to be pushing through. A lot of headaches.
Well, again, a single agent, right? So I go to all the listings. I'm showing all the properties, I'm doing all the stuff. So I have one assistant. Okay. So my assistant, she's been with me since 2014, coincidentally. She started about halfway through the year that year. So she's been with me 8 years now. And we just have it down, man. Like, we can do 100 deals a year in our sleep. Because if you think about it, it's 2 deals a week. That's not a lot when you really break it down. When you really think about it from that perspective, it's 2 deals a week. And it's just, I know how she works. She knows how I work. We just have it down, and that's part of it too. I think you can't do that kind of volume without a great assistant that you guys kind of work well together and have your systems in place and everything works. And B, MLS, right? Brazil, South Africa, some of these countries don't have MLS, and when the seller will pick eight agents to list a property with, because it's an open mandate. It's not an exclusive listing. And then as the agent, you got to go out there and find the buyer, because you're competing against the other 7 agents that the seller hired to list the property. You got to list and sell over there. They don't have MLS. We're sitting over here. We take it for granted, man. Those countries are 40 years behind us in technology in terms of the real estate industry. And there's no way I could sell 100 properties a year if I had to actually go out and find the buyers for each property and all that stuff, man. Like MLS, we don't realize how much of a dream this really is. This is a dream. And so, on the back of MLS and having a great assistant, it's just, you're leveraging, man, and two, I'll be honest, there's a little DNA in there, because it all comes back to your capacity. When you realize that closings happen every day and business is unlimited, like there's more than you can handle. You can't talk to every single property owner ever. You definitely can't talk to all of them in one day. I mean, you got unlimited, abyss of business to go out there and nurture and get and close. So when you realize all that, and you realize it's just like unlimited, then it comes down to, okay, well, how much can I handle? Because there's a number that everybody can handle. You can only handle so many active listings, so many pending deals, so many, things going on at once. Some people, they can handle like 4 active listings and 2 pending deals, and they're done. They can't handle nothing else, dude. 40 hours a week, they're just working on those things. I've always traditionally had 20 to 30 listings. I've always had, let's see, what was it? 20 to 30 listings and like, let's say 20 pending deals. That's kind of been my little safe zone where I could handle more, but that's kind of getting to the point where I'm real comfortable, right? It's kind of a lot going on with 20 pending deals. So right now we're really low because we don't have any listings. Every time we get a listing, it sells. I think I have 1 or 2 listings right now. I picked up 4, we sold 2, and I got 2 left right now. Actually picked up another one. So I got like 3 listings, and that's because I listed them in the past week. They're probably going to sell soon. But traditionally in a regular market, I'm at 20 to 30 listings, and I got like 20 pending deals. And that's kind of like cruising for me. Everybody has a different number of what they can handle. So it comes back to capacity. I just have a really big capacity in terms of what I can handle at once and what I worry about. A lot of people worry about the deals, what's going to happen, the inspection. When they get a situation, they spend a lot of time on it and stuff. And I'm just like, I squash the problems like immediately within like a matter of a minute. And then I don't even think about it anymore. I'm just like, okay, where's my next problem, or who I need to follow up with to get another deal going on. You know what I mean? But I will drop this one on you guys. Right now, I'm in the middle of building a team to take over my residential business, so that I can go and do commercial. So there's a couple of things that I'm doing right now. I've got the free coaching, which is, it doesn't really take up a lot of time, but it's a business, right? And then I've got my residential sales business. I've got my organization. I've got my team that I'm building now. I'm getting into commercial, and we're opening up a mortgage company. So like I have a lot of stuff happening, all at one time. And so I had to take this, everyday residential stuff off my plate, because although I only spend like 5 hours a week on my real estate business because it's all residual business. See, that's the thing with the weekly email and the database I built. I've been sending the weekly email every Wednesday since 2007. Oh. So it produces residual business. Like people just call me and want to do stuff. I don't have to prospect anymore. I quit prospecting in 2017. First year I made $1 million. So when you build your business up to a certain point, whatever, like if you want to build your business up to 500,000 a year and you stop prospecting at 250, and you live off your database, you're just gonna make 250 forever, right? But if you want to make 500, you got to continue to build that database until the year you make 500, and then you can stop prospecting and live off the database, maintain the 500. That's how I did with $1 million. I wanted to get to $1 million. When I got there, I was done prospecting. I knew I would produce that $1 million every year just off the database. That's all I really ever wanted to get to in real estate. So I'm really excited to step out and do commercial, which I've already been working on and have some things happening. And I've got a restaurant listed and working on some apartment deals and stuff. So that's exciting. I've got my team. I made my first hire last week, and we're, working through, acclimating him to the process and everything. And actually he's going to take over me and my father's business. I got my dad in real estate off the roof, probably 2-3 years after I got in the business. And so me and my father both will step out of, the everyday residential production and focus more on a lot of this other stuff, that I have going on, the mortgages and, the coaching and helping agents and different things like that. So a lot of exciting things happening, and I'm just continuing to try to grow and build and, do better things. I don't ever want to stay in the same spot until I've got all the machines in place, that's going to produce a certain number. Once I get to a certain number, then I'm definitely going to try to start slowing down and stuff. But it all comes back to capacity, man, in terms of doing the 100 deals a year. But if you think, oh my God, 100 deals, instead of thinking I can do 2 deals a week, right? It's just a mindset.
I agree, man. Mindset is the
100.
number one thing. Mindset is the number one thing. When you look at it like that and you break it down into numbers that you can feel more, I got this, or this is doable.
Yeah.
You start tricking your mindset and you start reframing your mindset, and then you actually start seeing, I can actually do this. Like this is possible. In your course, and I know you mentioned, residential, commercial, are you going to start teaching that stuff, commercial side of things, or have you been already with your coaches already, with the agents?
No, I haven't yet either. And you said coaches, that's interesting. You probably didn't even realize, I switched Zero to Diamond to where it's a social media platform now, right? With the 60-day challenge attached. But what's so cool is I started certifying coaches under me. So we have 22 Zero to Diamond certified coaches who actually coach you for free, once a week call through the 60-day challenge. And we're offering that now. And we just finished our first round. It started January 1st, our first round of ever doing that. And it was amazing. So it was really cool. But no, listen, I'm one of these that that's one of the reasons I don't really talk a whole lot about stocks and stuff, because I feel like I'm good at it, but I don't feel like I'm good enough to go out and act like I have the audacity to teach someone about it. Right. Same thing with commercial. I may step out and teach commercial stuff at some point, but it's going to take a lot. It's going to take me having to get to a really, solid place to understand commercial, which is going to take a long time for me to get comfortable enough to say, okay, I want to teach you how to do this. I'm just not one of these that is just going to jump out there and start teaching something that I'm, not even through the first phase of the process of learning it myself, so that could be a possibility. Although, at that point I could be in a place where I may disappear by that point. You know what I mean? It just depends. There's going to be a ride out into the sunset moment. It just depends on where that is and what's going on at the time. But, even at that moment, the older I get, the more I want to help people and the less I care about the money side of things. So I'll always have that something happening where I'm helping people on a massive level.
Well, Ricky, what can I say, man? It's obviously you're a busy guy, and I know you got stuff to do. But dude, you gave some amazing information today. You shared a lot of knowledge, a lot of your failures, a lot of your successes, a lot of the willing to work, which I think that is something very and very important that we need, especially in today's world, is willingness to work till you get to a certain point where you're like, I'm happy here. Now let's get this automated. Let's work off all these prospects I've built out, and I want to stay. I can stay at this number that I'm happy with. But you got to work yourself to get to that first threshold, to that point, and then automate it. So I'm really glad you touched upon that as well. And before we wrap it up, where can people find you? Where can they connect with you? Where can they get access to your course? And I know you mentioned a book as well. So where can people do this?
I would just go to Instagram, Ricky Carruth. Everything's a link in the bio. You can also find me on YouTube there, and everything else. I do a podcast every day. I drop a podcast every day on my podcast on iTunes and stuff like that. And I answer all my DMs every day on Instagram as well. So if you guys that are listening just want to say hi or ask a question or something, feel free to reach out. I'm pretty easy, accessible, and just here to help you guys. So just let me know what I can do.
You guys heard it. Ricky, we like to always end it on the podcast. We always like to go through a little quick burner round, and we'll finish with a bang. All right, first question. Ricky, what is the most exciting thing that you're seeing right now in real estate?
I think the most exciting thing is the fact that the market is up so high right now, and it's creating, in my mind, it's creating somewhat of a bubble. And I think right this second is we've got to be getting somewhere close to it. With all the stuff going on with Ukraine and interest rates and stuff like that, I think that you need to be squeezing the market for every last drop you can right now, because prices are so high, and there has to be sellers that want to sell in this environment where we know that interest rates are going to rise. Maybe not next month, like the Fed says. We don't know. You never know until they do it. That's what I was telling my agents the other day. They might raise and they may not. Don't tell people interest rates are going up for sure, because you don't know. You don't know whether the Feds could take that off the table at any moment. But we know at some point they will. And when they do, and you add in some of these other factors, we're going to see something happen, and everything's going to stop on a dime, and you're going to wish you would have taken advantage of these high prices and reached out to more sellers. There's a guy in my market right now. He sold 7 units in the same building in the last 30 days. And it's literally because he's just calling all the owners and saying, hey, here's where prices are. And they're like, really? Well, I'd do that. It's almost like they can't turn it down. So go after absentee owners and second home owners, people that don't have to find another place. They can just take profit off the table for properties they're not living in. And that's the most exciting thing happening right now. And then leading into, once we do have that transition into the next phase of the market, get ready with your investors. Those investors are going to emerge, and they're going to be here by the truckloads, and they're going to be ready to scoop up stuff. Go ahead and have them lined up and ready to roll, because it's going to get interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun.
What's the biggest piece of advice you can give a new agent starting out in this field?
Man, I think we've already covered all that, right? I think number one, realize that it's, the market is it does not dictate your success whatsoever. So get out of that trap that a lot of people put themselves in, and just understand that the goal is to close your first deal and to build off the momentum and close more deals. But understand the ultimate goal. And that is, for over the next 5 years, add 5 people a day to your database, so that you have the largest database in the market at the end of 5 years, and you're done, right? You can actually see that over the course of 5-10 years, you're in a place where you don't have to work so hard to produce even more volume. And you can go out and continue to build on that volume, build a team, or build other businesses, because that's what it's about at the end of the day, right? We don't want to hustle and bustle till the day we die, like I've seen a lot of people do. We all got into this for that freedom, so visualize it and put the plan in place of what you need to do on a daily basis to get there over the next 3 to 5 years, because 3 to 5 years is going to go by like that.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that. Ricky, what is the most common mistakes, let's say the top 2 or 3 mistakes that you're seeing most real estate agents make?
Top 2 or 3 mistakes. I think they get caught too much into the distractions of, this shiny penny over here, this shiny penny over there, in terms of, this company saying they're going to give me these leads, and this company saying they're going to post on social media for me and stuff like that. You can't get around the sheer sweat equity that you have to put into your business. And people are trying to sidestep the sweat equity part and go straight to the easy automation part, when you said it yourself. You got to work hard to get it to a certain place. Then you can put the automation stuff in place, right? A lot of people are trying to do it in reverse. They're trying to automate day one when they don't have anything to automate off of. They haven't built any relationships. They don't have a name in the market. They don't really have they don't have a foundation to set those automations in place. So I think people are just trying to sidestep the sweat equity part. Listen, there's a lot of flashy stuff, and these companies are making a lot of money basically tricking agents into thinking, oh, this is going to solve all your problems and make all your dreams come true. And, it doesn't work like that. And I think agents need to take a step back, and if they'll grasp the concept behind working old school and new school and mixing that up, then they're going to find some massive success, and most agents just want to do one or the other.
My other question. So what is the future that you feel the real estate agents are going to play in the next 20 years, 10 to 20 years?
Honestly, who knows? But, if I had to answer the question, I don't think much is going to change. I think technology is going to change dramatically. Honestly, in 20 years, that's a long time. I think it's going to take about that long for some of this digital currency and blockchain stuff to kind of make its way into our industry in terms of, county records and different things like that. I think all that's a strong possibility. But again, just like Zillow coming in, just like, Redfin was great for us, right? They came in, they're a discount brokerage. And what happened? The people go there and they have a horrible experience and they come running back to us and they're happy to pay 1% more because they know we're going to take care of them and we got their back. All these tech things that come out, MLS. I mean, all these things that come out are just making our life easier. And same thing with blockchain. It's going to make our life easier. It's going to make things easier and we're going to be able to navigate better. It's going to make our life easier. But at the end of the day, we're still going to be needed to negotiate, to write contracts, to have our client's best interests, to work the inspection, work the lender, work the appraiser, work the title company to make sure everything goes smooth for our clients. That's what they want at the end of the day. They just want, hey, I just want this to go for this price. Okay, let me handle all the back end. And that's what we get paid for, not to find the buyer. We don't get paid for that anymore. The sellers can find the buyers easily nowadays with the internet. That's not what we're getting paid for. We're getting paid for all the work that goes into setting up the 15 showings that it took to get to the buyer that would actually make the offer, negotiate the offer that the buyer sends, make sure that it's, there's nothing funny in the contract, get it submitted to the title company, make sure that everything's going to work through with that and the lending and everything else that's involved with the deal. I don't think it's going to change much. Some people say that the number of agents is going to get knocked down to half or even a third of what they are now. We're like 1.6 million agents right now, which is an all-time high. But I don't see it, man. I think right now we're overinflated with the number of agents in the country because of the way the market is. I think a lot of those agents are not selling a thing because they're so new and inventory is so low and they don't understand how to get their foot in the door. So I think we're definitely an overinflated number. I think somewhere around 1 million agents is a really good number. 1.1 to 1.2 is a number that we're probably going to fall back to and stay at. I just don't think it's going to change much. I think technology is going to change the game a lot, but I think agents will still be here playing the same role.
Well, Ricky, what can we say? Thank you so much again for coming on here, dropping this amazing knowledge and value, and we appreciate your time. Guys, if you got value out of this segment, just take one single thing, put it into good use. Not tomorrow, not the next day, but today. Start applying it into your life, into your work, into your business. Go make that happen. Be willing to work until you get to that moment where you're saying, this is where I'm happy to automate, and then you can keep on winning from there. Again, if you got value, we would appreciate it if you drop a like, comment, subscribe, share, leave a rating, drop a review, because the more love you show us, the more love we can show back. Till next time on the Sweat It Out podcast.